So I think we're live. I'm not sure that we're known because of our technical issues.
Yeah.
So
let's hope it works. Let's hope it works.
So please, guys, if you're watching this live video, help us with a hashtag live, hashtag replay. If you're watching this in replay, it's Alessio. I'm Alessio from Social Media Hacks Italia. Welcome, Alessandro. And today we have a special guest. Please let me know, guys, if you can hear us. I'm not sure about the mic because it's an external one, but I think you can hear us. And hello, guys, live. Yeah. So today we have a special guest. This special guest is Mr. Leo Ahmad. And I met Leo last year in London, and Leo was a great man to meet because of many reasons. Leo was in kind of a transitioning phase between his first agency and his second one, and we're gonna touch this point later on in the interview. But what caught my eyes about Leo is determination. This guy is very determined, and he's extremely consistent when he does something. And a couple of days ago, I and Enrico we were talking about those who want something and those who really want something. Leo is one of them, and I know he's kind of shy right now, but yeah, this guy's a killer. So I'm very happy to have you here.
Thank you, man.
And yeah. So Leo is an influencer marketing expert. So today we're gonna talk about influencer marketing as well. Not only that, but also entrepreneurship in general. But to start out with, I would touch on your very beginning in the business world. So you are a college dropout, and like your stories pretty interesting, so I would like you to elaborate on this.
Sure. Yeah, so like Alessio said, I'm Leo. It's my first time, well, one of the first times I've done a live, so this is all quite new to me. But it's nice to be here. And yeah, so I guess a little bit about myself. I've been in, 2 years ago I was in university, and almost 2 years ago I was in university, and I was studying business and management. And I noticed that I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing. I was kind of just there because I thought it was the right thing to do. I knew I had tons of friends that were going to university, and I also had like my family telling me, oh, you have to go to university. So I figured that was what my next step should be. So I did it, and I figured that it was a bit of a mess, to be honest. I went down the wrong route, and I was kind of just enjoying myself a little bit too much with the freedom and the partying and stuff like that. But yeah, so nonetheless, I spent a bit too much time doing that during my first year. And then eventually I got to a point where I figured in the new year of 2017 that this isn't the route that I wanted to go down. So I essentially decided to learn how to make money online. And like I went on Google, as I'm sure most people have done, and typed in how to make money online. And
you get some weird answers by Google, right?
You get some weird answers. Yeah, that's true actually. And I stumbled across one website that said I could make money from Instagram, and I was like, wow, I can make money from my phone whilst I'm sitting in my dorm room and even in lectures. And I thought it was a crazy opportunity. So I decided to, go all out on this, and I created an Instagram account, and I told all my friends in my dorm as well that I'm doing this little challenge where I'm growing my page, and they all joined on board as well, which was interesting. So there's about 5 of us, and I remember one of my friends had a dog page, the other, she had a cat page, and another had like a fashion page, and I created like a luxury page. And we were just posting content every day, trying to grow as fast as possible. And I remember most of my friends just gave up after a while. But I figured that if I could make something out of this and make some money on the side, it would mean a lot for me, because then I could, essentially potentially like make money without needing a job.
On scale as well.
On scale as well. So I guess I stuck to it, and within like my first couple months, I had made about $1,000 from my Instagram page. And this put things into a whole new perspective for me, because I figured that most people my age, you know, they're making that every single month, but working like a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And to think that I could do this from my phone was just, it was insane to me.
It's just mind blowing.
It was mind blowing to me, yeah.
We're
Especially
just blessed about it. It's insane.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like 18 years old at the time, and it was just like crazy to me to think that. So I figured, why don't I just double down on this? Stop going to lectures, which is very. He said to be shy. But yeah, so.
Nice British accent.
Thank you, man. Thank you. What's
interesting about your story, I think, it's that everything is documented. Like, you haven't created a YouTube channel, as far as I know.
Yeah.
You haven't been too active on Instagram from your personal account. But if you guys check out his Facebook page, it's very interesting because there are a couple of posts, like I think they're around 20 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And you can find every step of this path, which is insane. It's pretty good. And I still remember you had kind of a self-challenge with a challenge with yourself before dropping out college, right?
Yeah,
you had to like achieve a goal. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah. I guess the biggest challenge was the fact that it was completely out of the ordinary. Like, I remember the first time I told my friends that I wanted to drop out and go all out on this, they were like, "Are you crazy?" Like, all of them were laughing, and that made me like believe less about what I could do as well, you know. So then I also I told my family that I wanted to drop out.
How did they react?
They thought I'd gone mad. They were like, "What's wrong with you?" Like they literally thought that there was something wrong with me, because they couldn't understand why I would want to drop out, you know. And it's understandable as well, to be honest. And I did lie to them about how much I was making to actually try and convince them, and they still thought I was mad, which was even worse. But yeah, I guess that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty interesting. So the first time we met, we were getting back from LA, I guess. From Los Angeles, because you got invited by Ty Lopez's team.
That's right, yeah.
And that's I think that's kind of a big achievement for an 18-year-old guy, or you were like 19 or something like that?
Yeah, I think I just turned 19 at the time, yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Like, did that change your perspective about reality?
Definitely, yeah, because,
Yeah, because I just imagine his mansion with fucking supercars everywhere, like
it was
crazy swimming pools, jacuzzi. How was it?
Yeah, so like when I was hustling, I didn't really know anyone who was doing anything similar to what I was doing. I was just kind of in my room, and I cut out all my negative friends that were, you know, all just partying and drinking all the time and weren't really supporting what I was doing. So as a result, I kind of stayed to myself. And at this point, there was a summer vacation. You know, summer vacations are like 3 months long in the UK. So I was essentially by myself for like 2 months in my room, just working 15 hours a day, which I don't preach. Like, don't do 15-hour days of work. But that's just part of my phase, I guess. And going through that phase, I realized that, like, I didn't really enjoy what I was doing because I was so, like, to myself. And then when I had this opportunity to go out to, you know, Ty Lopez's mansion, I was able to meet tons of people who had the same mindset. You know, all these people in LA who were just, you know, running their own businesses, people who were doing what they've been told not to do. And it was just really refreshing for me. And as soon as I got back, it just woke me up, and I had my first ever $10,000 month. And that was just insane.
Got out of university as soon as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's insane, man. That's very inspiring. And I think, it helps you to crash your reality.
Yeah.
That's very, very good. There's somebody who reached out to you when you were working on light
my
travels.
God. Wow.
Me hi. Hi. And
so cool.
yeah, we got some people online. This is
Enrico
very interesting.
And Patrick.
And yeah, so the next point we want to touch is the influencer marketing one. So you've been doing you've been active quite a lot on influencer marketing.
Yeah.
So you're mainly working with personal brands, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Probably you work also with businesses. So since this group is called Social Media Hacks Italy, and I think most of our members, of our group of members, are interested in influencer marketing. We get a lot of questions about it, like how to reach out to an influencer, how to close a deal with an influencer, or how to close a deal with a brand as an influencer. So yeah, it would be very interesting you to tell us something about your experience, something that you've learned from your experience by doing it.
Yeah.
And that would be very helpful to get some tips and something that usually we tend not to read in ordinary blogs or websites or group Facebook groups, something like that. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. So I guess to give everyone a bit of a backstory about my experience, so I've been able to build a personal network of 4 million followers on Instagram in the past 2 years. I also manage a 56 million follower network. These aren't pages that I own, but they're pages that I leverage off to grow for my clients. So I specialize in building personal brand pages, like Alessio said. So yeah, I'm more than happy to share some advice. So from my experience, I noticed that, social media is got the word social in it, right? So it's very important to, be social on a platform like Instagram, right? And when I say this, I specifically mean it's very important to network. Because without networking, I wouldn't even be sitting in this room with Alessio right now. So I think when you're on Instagram, it's very important to network with other influencers in the space, other people that are in your niche, and you can learn from what they're doing, and they can also learn from what you're doing. It's a never-ending upward cycle. So I strongly believe in the fact that you have to network with people, and to get into more specifics, create DM groups or create communities. Like, for example, Social Media Hacks, what Enrico and Alessio have done. You've created this amazing community of people who are motivated to, do well with their social media and so on and so forth. And as a result, you're all growing together. Yeah. So do the same thing on all of your social platforms like Facebook. Go out and reach out to people and create communities. Same with Instagram. And that will explode your knowledge. The best way to put it, I guess. And another advice that I would give would be to leverage off influencers. So I think it's important to, when reaching out to influencers, you have to exchange value in some way, because a lot of people, when they reach out to people, they expect a lot. Like, I've had people, come to me and say, "Oh, teach me how to grow my Instagram account now." They demand my time and my and I love to give advice to people. I love to help people, but when it comes to a point where people are really aggressive in their way of doing it, I don't want to talk to them. That's just the reality of it. So I think it's important to have some kind of value to give out to people. And I'm sure Enrico is aware of this, but when I was in he was a part, or he still is a part of Avonic, as far as I'm aware. And that's a group which is all about growing your Instagram. And I really wanted to get in touch with people like Enrico and Sam and Loic. So I tried my best to provide value to them by, I guess, investing my time. So I invested my time into their group and invested time into them. And as a result, I learned a lot about Instagram from them in my early stages. So I think to go back to your question, when it comes to growing your Instagram or any of your social media platforms, be willing to exchange value of some sort. whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's knowledge from somewhere else. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And yeah, I think this is a good point to touch on, because like one of the next points is going to be entrepreneurship in general. But something that I've recognized, that I've noticed in you, is that you're quite good at sales. Like I can notice that you're good at.
Thank you.
Nada. You're quite good at sales. So I think that's very important, because when it comes to business in general, not only Instagram business, but also whatever business, even if you're like building a team, if you're working with your team and you want them to perform better, you need some sales skills, and you're always selling something.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think this type of skill is important also for when it comes to reach out to influencers, because the same way you're giving value and you're trying to take value to get value back. I think it applies also for influencers. I've never worked with big influencers, but I think you work mostly with networks of influencers, like community, etc. So what would be the best advice for somebody who wants to get in touch with one of these big networks?
Yeah, so I mean, typically the best way to get involved in a network is by knowing someone that's a part of a network, right? So there's no real like, it's quite hard to find someone who actually is at the top of the network, because they're typically quite busy or they have a lot of things going on. So normally if you just reach out to the influencers that you want to be in touch with, eventually you're going to get a few that reply to you. And if you leverage off that and you actually try to build a strong connection with them, then, you know, they can potentially allow you to get part of their network. You know?
Gotcha.
Initially, when I started off, I noticed that a lot of influencers didn't want to talk to me because I didn't have any value to provide. So I remember I thought to myself, how can I provide value to people? So I remember I had an account, it was Light Travels that someone mentioned before. And I think the page was at 1,000 followers, roughly, something like that. Maybe less, to be honest. And I thought, there were all these guys with 100K follower pages, and they're all looking for DM groups. So why don't I create a DM group for big pages with 100,000 followers plus? And I know this sounds crazy because I didn't even have a page of that size, but what my value was connecting people, right? So I created a DM group where I put all these 100K follower pages, and it obviously sounds easier than it was done.
Absolutely.
Like I reached out to people day on end, and it took about 2 weeks, to be honest, until I actually had 3 full DM groups of tons of 100,000 follower pages. And as a result, I had my own network. Despite the fact that I only had 1,000 followers, I was the authority in that space, and I was able to create a power-like network out of this, and I managed to partner up with another power-like network, which is now called Infinicore, which is very, very popular.
Yeah, we mentioned it a couple of times in the group, so I'm quite sure that everybody knows it.
That's great, yeah. So before Infinicore was called Infinicore, it was called Machiavelli, and I was like I guess a co-founder of that, and I like helped in building out that network. So I figured that instead of having to reach out to all these little networks and try, like, that is also great. If you can think outside the box and create your own network, then you're winning so much more.
Yeah, for sure. I and Rico in the group always preach the importance of stalking skills when you have to reach out.
Rico
to
loves stalking.
When you have to reach out to people and look for the right person in the network, or reach out to the owner of a network. Yeah, that's very important. But is there something in particular you would like to suggest our team members about influencer marketing, or shall we go shall we go ahead with the next point?
Sorry, could you repeat that again?
Yeah, sure. Is there something else you would like to suggest our members about influencer marketing?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
so I think it's very important that when leveraging off influencers or reaching out to influencers, normally you can get carried away. Normally you can get carried away with the follower count. You know, if someone has 1 million followers, you think, wow, these guys, they're amazing. They're the kind of people that I want to be in touch with, right? However, in reality, let's put 2 pages next to each other. We'll have one page which has 1 million followers but gets about 1,000 likes per picture. And we'll put that page next to, for example, 100,000 follower page that gets 10,000 likes per picture. I personally want to be in touch with the person that has 100,000 followers,
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And typically when people get into the influencer marketing space, they get distracted and they think, this guy has all these followers, why don't I work with him? But honestly, it's not the best route to go down. I think it's much better to see who gets the most engagement, because engagement is a clear indicator of how good someone is at growing their page or how well they know Instagram, to be honest. So I think that's really important to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. But yeah, guys, if you have any question about influencer marketing, that would be sick to get it and to get them so that we can go through them with Leo. In the meantime, we still have some questions to reply, and we got them during the comment letter we did before confirming our actual interview. But yeah, so to go ahead, I would like to talk with you about entrepreneurship in general. So when we met, again, you were in a transitioning phase between 2 agencies. So the first one and the second one you got. The first one was with some business partners. I'm not sure about it, but maybe you can elaborate on this. And the second one was with you alone. So I still remember something that you mentioned when we were together in London, and this was something related to skills and networking. In the group, we usually tend to talk about tools and how to use these tools. Tools usually tend to become obsolete, tend to get updated, so you still have to keep up the pace with all the tools, with the technology in general. And this is interesting, I think, because I remember you mentioned something like this. Like you said that, you told to me that basically you definitely prefer focusing on networking rather than focusing on like technicalities and like skills that can become obsolete, as I said before. I totally understand that, and I totally agree on this. So yeah, would you like to talk about it? Because I think like part of your success is related to your abilities, to your skills on networking. So yeah, that would be cool to talk about it.
For sure, yeah. So to touch upon your first point about partnerships, so yeah, I've had quite a lot of experience with partnerships, and I noticed that partnerships have been like they're a really great learning experience, if that makes sense. Very big learning experience. And I've noticed that they're very important. I personally feel like getting into a partnership is a really good way of getting into business because it's extremely motivating. Having someone that you can talk with and you can grow with and progress with, I think it's a really great way to grow. However, there are a number of things that you really do need to keep in mind. Otherwise, things can get messy because we have to remember that a partnership is basically like a marriage. You're essentially, going like hand in hand with this person, and you're going to probably spend more time with them than you are with your boyfriend or girlfriend, So I think it's very important to be willing to talk. When you have something on your mind, it's very important to talk about like what's on your mind essentially, and overcome obstacles on the same page rather than like by yourself. if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also remember that you mentioned to me something about picking out the right business partner. It's not easy because most of the time we tend to partner up with somebody with the same skills as we have.
Yeah.
And that's kind of messed because obviously, like the reason behind a partnership is getting like a higher result, higher icon than doing one plus one. Yeah. So like if I get I don't know 100 and the other person get 100, but together we get 300, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
To get in a partnership.
Of course. Yeah.
And do you have like any recommendation about it? Like,
yeah, definitely.
This? Yeah.
I completely agree because it's comfortable to go into a partnership with someone that you resonate with, like in regards to their values and stuff like that. And that's a really important thing to do. However, like you said, if you go into a partnership with someone who doesn't necessarily, who does basically the same things as you, then you're not going to
get faster with him.
Well, you're not going to learn really as much from each other, you know, because like, for example, in the past, every time I've gone into a partnership, I've always gone in with people who love to network just as much as I do, or who love to be creative and brand and stuff like that. And nothing really like progresses, you know, there's no, you know, you need the yin to the yang to actually make it work, you know? So I think it's now I'm in a point where I don't have a partner, but I have like a head of operations, and he's almost like a partner to me without me having to give away like 50% of my company. And he's almost like the yin to my yang. Like he loves to do all this like technical stuff. He loves to, you know, write down forever, and he just loves to do all this boring stuff that I hate and he loves. And it's like, wow, like by all means take all of that and I will go ahead and do what I love to do.
Yeah,
so I think, so to answer your question, try to look for someone that you enjoy spending time with, but at the same time that can do the things that you don't necessarily like to do.
Yeah, and I think it works also the other way around. Like, I don't think he likes networking. I don't think this guy likes selling, getting sales. So that's quite important to partner up with this type of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, another cool thing. And guys, by the way, if you have questions, just drop them in the comment section. That would be awesome. And I hope you are understanding everything. My Italian English accent should be quite easy to understand. But another thing that I've noticed in you and that I got inspired by, to be honest, is that since you were very, very young, like 2 years ago, obviously I'm not talking about a long time ago, but you've always reinvested everything in your business, either in your business or in your own growth, in terms of mentors, in terms of masterminds, in terms of like traveling for networking. And that's something that I really admire, especially because at the very beginning, you tend to focus on profit, which is understandable, I guess. And I think also that as a young entrepreneur, it's very easy to get distracted by other things if you have like money in your pocket. So yeah, you think it's has it been worth to spend that much money on growth, on knowledge, on mentors, etc., or getting back to your first days, you would do something different?
So to be honest with you, like most young entrepreneurs, from my experience, like people that I've met that are also on this kind of journey, I've noticed that they're quite like disconnected. They don't really know why they want to do what they're doing. They're mostly doing it because they want to show off in front of their friends or just
on Instagram.
On Instagram, and it's quite sad, to be honest, because I noticed that they'll spend all their money instantly on like like really nice clothes, and not that I have anything against that, or like nice watches and tons of alcohol so they can flex in the club and stuff like that. And personally, I like I said, I don't have anything against that. But when that becomes your only like goal and your only why, then there's a problem there, you know. And because of the fact that I've invested such a large amount of money into like masterminds and personal growth, I've been able to kind of cut past that phase, if that makes sense. And I've become more understanding of why I do what I want to do.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
and basically as a result, I just feel like I've connected with people who are just passionate about what they do. I just feel like there are different levels to entrepreneurship, and some people they work, and they don't really know why they're working. And I don't really resonate with that. And that's what I used to do for a long period of time. But then when I started to invest into mentors and masterminds and hear other people's perspectives, then I was thinking, why is it that I'm doing what I do? And now I work because I love to work, and I work because I have a reason as to why I work. And I feel like investing it's really helped me a lot, to be honest, a lot.
Yeah, this is a great point. And by the way, guys, last time I called Leo. I was like, hey, dude, how are you? And it's like, yeah, I'm great. I'm in Colombia right now, here for a master. I'm like, what? I'm here for a mastermind. I'm like having a speech here. Oh, all right, man. So yeah, that's very interesting. And yeah, let me think if we had, as regards of masterminds, I've mentioned in the group that we do have a mastermind in common, so we take part in mastermind.
Nice.
And I totally preach the importance of masterminds. Enrico does the same. And we actually created our own masterminds in the group, which are going pretty well, I guess. Guys, just drop us a message to confirm that. And it would be absolutely awesome to tell everybody, in your opinion, what's the value of masterminds. Also because I usually tell them my opinion, what's their value in my opinion. But yeah, it would be refreshing to get your take on that.
Yeah, definitely. And like Alessio mentioned, like I participate in quite a lot of masterminds. One of them is the mastermind that me, you, and a few others have had as well. And I noticed that it's really nice to get other people's perspectives on what you're doing. Because if you are growing in whatever you're doing and you're doing it by yourself, then often that can lead to overthinking. And in my opinion, overthinking is really toxic to your mental health. It can result in you burning out. So I feel like it's extremely refreshing to go and meet other people and hear their perspectives on your current situation.
Yeah.
So
I think that's very important. And also, if they're not in the same industry as you are, it's much better probably to get their opinion and to get their perspective, their vision, because most of the times they're on the other side of the table. And when you have like a bird view about something, it's much easier to find like the shortcuts for the points that you can fix, the errors, the obstacles that you can work on. And that's definitely interesting.
I totally agree. Yeah. There are some points that I do want to mention about masterminds as well.
Go for it.
So I absolutely love masterminds, and I participate in a lot of them. However, I do also think it's very important to to be careful about the information that you hold on to, if that makes sense. So like, for example, like you mentioned, I was in a mastermind not long ago, and there was quite a lot of high-level entrepreneurs. And as a result, I was probably one of the, it was about 6 of us. 5 of them were multimillionaires, and for some reason I ended up there.
And it was that.
I don't know how. But I remember one of them, like I was talking about my current situation in my business, and I hadn't really been doing much for a while. And one of the guys just said, oh, just keep selling, sell, 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 sell. And I didn't understand why he would say that, because in my experience, I never had a problem with selling, to be honest. In my first year, I managed to sell quite a lot, actually. But I figured that the reason as to why I was struggling the most was because I didn't have systems in place. I didn't have the operations. I didn't know how to deliver in an exceptional way. And the reason as to why that this guy was telling me to sell, 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 sell was because his experience was different to mine. In the past, he was very good at building systems. He was a very technical person. He had no idea how to sell, right? And as a result, his belief system is that you have to sell to be successful, right? Whereas with my experience, I needed the systems to be successful because I already had that sales experience. So I think it's very important to be careful what kind of information you take and hold on to, because I remember like after that experience for a week, I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I need to sell now. What? So I think it's good to hear other people's perspectives, but then create your own decision within what feels right. Your gut feeling.
Yeah. And it helps you to consider more aspects of the same thing, but also make your decision. And I think that's the best thing. I think we got a live question. Honestly, I don't know if you've given any personal suggestion to Ty Lopez, but the question is, which is the best suggestion you gave Ty Lopez, and the best suggestion he gave you back?
Yeah, so Ty Lopez he's an expert at what he does. So I didn't really have too many suggestions for him, unfortunately. And the purpose of the Ty Lopez event was to connect with Ty himself and also other entrepreneurs that were there. But yeah, Ty has 3 million followers on his personal Instagram account. He's killing it right now. So I didn't really have too much advice for him in regards to that. But the advice that he gave to me, I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
No, I was about to say, even if it's something that, like some suggestion that he gave you indirectly, like with his lifestyle or the way he was living his life, the dimension he was living in. I don't know.
I think, I mean, to be honest with you, I think the lifestyle he was living is really cool. That's not really my biggest incentive or my why as to what I do, to be honest. I think it's cool, but it's not like what drives me. But I think it was the idea of connecting with people and connecting with other like-minded people. That's probably the biggest thing that really allowed me to get to the next level, to be honest. I remember he did give me some very specific suggestions about a course launch that I was doing back in the day. But that's probably for another video.
Yeah, probably, yes. Okay, so let's go through the questions that we got. The questions. Every time I make a mistake.
Sure.
But yeah, let's go through the questions that we got in the post. And the first one is from Daniela. And thank you, Daniela, for sending us a question. And the question is, what have been the biggest obstacles that you've faced in your path, and how did you face them?
Yeah, so the biggest obstacles, I guess, that's a good question. So I remember before I started the Instagram stuff, I was still interested in making money, but I had no real focus. And as a result, every time I made money, I would go and gamble with the money that I made. And this was a really, really toxic cycle that I kind of got involved into. And I remember every time I would make money, I would go and just gamble it all away. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I must have been 16, 17 years old at the time. And I understand that it's very young, but I must have lost around $30,000 in that year from gambling. And that was quite harmful to me, and it really demotivated me in regards to how much I wanted to, continue on this path. And that's kind of why I stopped for a while. So that is one big obstacle of mine. Another big obstacle that I had on my path, which was around this time last year, or just over a year ago, actually. Actually, this was towards the start of this Instagram journey. In the first 2 months, I'd made around $1,000 to $2,000, and I was like, "Wow, I'm gonna drop out. This is insane," you know.
We're gonna drop out now.
We're gonna drop it right now, yeah. And then we had a holiday, I guess you guys call it vacation or whatever, and it was a 1 month vacation. And I was like, right, this is gonna be a simulation of what happens if I drop out. So I went back home to my parents and I stayed in my room for a month, and I just worked every day, and I was trying to sell every day, trying to close deals. And this was the first month that I had made $0, despite the fact that I was working like 12 to 16 hours per day. And that was a very tough obstacle for me, because it made me realize that, well, at the time it made me realize that I guess I'd been doing things wrong, or maybe it wasn't the right thing for me to do. And I guess the moral of that story is that despite the fact that you might have some failures or things that are obstacles that are pushing you down, it doesn't matter. As long as you stay persistent and you stay on the right track, it's just a matter of time before something amazing shows up. And we spoke about this a little bit yesterday.
Absolutely.
You know, you will have a really tough period, and the way the world works, for some reason, it will just give you like tons of amazing, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it will give you tons of amazing learning. Like, think of the obstacle as a learning experience. I think that's probably the best way to look at it. And then following that learning experience, you have tons of upside.
Yeah. When you stick with it and you overcome these obstacles, these learning experiences, it's very nice the way life shows you that you were right, and that you get something in return. Exactly. We got a question also from Enrico. I think you just replied to it, to be honest, but he says, I'm at a conference, so I can't listen to the question now, and I hope this is not completely off topic. I remember when you were starting, Leo, and how you were struggling to drop out of college at first. Could you please share with the audience what it was like when you took your leap of faith and choose the road that made you successful? I think you already touched this point, but I mean, if you want to elaborate, probably the leap of faith is related to the month you've mentioned before. The month of vacation. But yeah, if you want, we can go ahead.
Sure, I can touch on something different about it, I guess. But I remember that was a really tough phase, because I was trying to make that decision for about 6 months, to be honest, which is really, really bad. And it was like at the back of my head constantly. And I remember I was kind of in two minds. Like, one mind was saying, just stay and do university and just do what everyone else is doing. It's like the normal thing to do. And at the same time, my other mind was saying, just drop out and do like all this. Fuck this shit, basically. So it was really tough to make that decision, because, I just couldn't make it. It was really hard. So I think a really good thing, what was the question again?
What it was like when you took your leap of faith and choose the road that made you successful. Yeah,
so I guess it was really scary. It felt right within, and it felt right because of the fact that I was talking with people online who were in a similar situation. And if I hadn't done that, I would have probably made things a whole lot harder, because I wouldn't have known what the potential is,
Absolutely.
So I think, so I think it's really important to be in touch with people who are, kind of on a similar path, even if it's online. But
also, if they're in the position you want to be in a couple of years, that would be awesome, actually, to get a perspective, on that. And awesome. I mean, I related a lot to your words here, because I had the same problem when I was attending my university.
Yeah.
But I didn't listen to that voice,
Yeah.
and I kept on studying, which was like probably one of my biggest regrets so far, because yeah, it didn't help me at all. But yeah, this is another story.
Yeah,
And,
but I'm sure you learned from that experience as well.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and everyone has their own different paths, which is why like it makes sense to regret certain things. But I think it's it's a part of who you are today.
Yeah,
So I think it's
as long as you
really
make the most out of it,
Yeah.
then it's good.
Exactly.
Awesome. So next question is from Francesca, and thank you, Francesca. So the first one is this is nice actually, and this is probably one of the most asked questions in our group. I asked this question to Massimo Chiruzzi. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's the CEO of Espresso.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it's a big guy.
Yeah.
And the question is, if you stood a chance to give a piece of advice to the young Leo, to the 17-year-old Leo, what would you suggest him?
Yeah.
This is a big one, right?
This is
a tough one.
This is a really tough question. Yeah. 2 years ago, wow, what was I doing 2 years ago? I'd probably tell myself to stop smoking weed, stop drinking alcohol, invest your money into like the right things, I guess, like investing into your own growth, and investing into mentors, and just basically spend wisely, I guess, because I would just spend stupidly. So that's one really big thing that I would probably tell myself. Another big thing that I would tell myself, wow.
Massimo Chiruzzi replied to this question by talking about time management.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's really big.
if I had a chance to tell myself of like 20 years old, it's a little bit older than you.
Yeah.
He said that he would talk about the importance of time and how scarce it is as a resource.
Yeah.
And I resonated a lot with that.
Yeah. I think I totally agree with that. And I think another big thing is don't sacrifice your I guess, happiness for your vision. Because if you get caught up too much, then, you will always be thinking about the next vision and the next vision and the next vision, which is why I think it's so important to live in the moment and enjoy what you are doing. You have to be happy that you're doing what you're doing, and also save time for yourself to, like you mentioned, time management, save time for yourself to spend with family, with friends, with being outside, Yeah. I think that's a really important thing that I would have told myself 2 years ago.
Keep in mind to block out a slot for, spending time with your beloved ones, and enjoy the moment.
Definitely.
Smell the flowers.
Yes, exactly.
And this type of stuff. So we have another question from Francesca, which is, if you look back, is there something that you would do again in terms of something that really had a huge impact on your life? Or is there something that you wouldn't do? I mean, I think you already replied to the second one in terms of, gambling and shit. But for the first one, is there something that actually had a big impact on your life, on your results, on your career?
Could you repeat the first question again?
If you had the chance to look back, and is there something that you would do again? Is there something that has had a big impact on your career, on your life, on your
something
success?
that's had a big impact for a positive?
Yeah.
Let me think.
Yeah, we already touched this point a couple of times, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there's something different you want to talk about, that's good.
Something different.
Otherwise, we can go on to the next question.
Maybe something that happened this year. A lot of it comes from the masterminds I've gone to, the partnerships that I've been through, the money that I've invested and the money that I've lost. the failures that I've gone through. And I guess to summarize all of this is all about experience. So I guess just experiencing negative things is probably the most positive thing that's happened to me. Ironically.
I like this one, huh?
Yeah. So that's probably the best way to summarize that.
I like this one. And so the next question is from Alessandro, and he says, how many Instagram accounts did you manage simultaneously?
How many
without automation as well. So yeah.
Okay, so I guess when I first started, I was probably managing. So back in the day, you could only have, I think you still can only have 5 accounts logged in at a time. So I had 5 accounts logged in at a time, and I remember I was posting on all of these pages. And I remember I had 3 alarms set as well, like 9 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m. And those are ridiculous times, to be honest. And then I realized, like, these are low value tasks that I shouldn't really be doing. So eventually I hired someone to go and do post for me, because it wasn't really allowing me to, I guess, get to the next level of my business, of my journey. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, I mean, we have 5 more minutes, so maybe we can just go through the next questions, maybe in a faster way.
Sure.
And yeah, so the first one is from Daniele, and he asks, how did you find out of Instagram, the first stage? How did you actually find out you were passionate about Instagram at the first stage?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I wasn't really passionate about it to start off with. I just knew that I could make money from it. So that was my transition to get me on this path. I've become more passionate about it recently, more than I ever have before, because I just enjoy it. It's fun to me to be able to grow pages, watch engagement go up, watch videos hit the explore page, get results for my clients. I like that. Recently, just becoming more aware of that has made me tons more passionate. Like in the past, I was just doing it for money, so I wouldn't really tie that in with passion, to be honest. So yeah,
it makes sense. It makes sense. Next question is, what's your why?
My why?
This is a long one.
Yeah, that's
not a fast answer.
I can probably summarize it though.
Yeah, in one sentence.
Yeah,
if you want
definitely. So I guess I would love to. I'm still in the process of creating my why, and I feel like it's an everlasting creation. Like there's always going to be maybe my why a year ago is probably different to my why now. You know, before my why was to escape from the dark place that I was in before, but now my why, if I dwelled on that why, I wouldn't really be progressing. You know, so my why now is to help those who are, I guess, in a similar position to where I am, or anyone who wants to be successful and, like you mentioned, truly wants to be successful, to take that jump and inspire them to do so, essentially. Yeah,
this is a great one, man. And how do you see yourself in 10 to 20 years?
Wow. Yeah.
This is a tough one.
That's a tough one, yeah. Wow, 10 to 20 years. Old Leo. I'm going to look back at this in 10 to 20 years.
We're going to hold you accountable.
I mean, it's a really tough question, because I feel like my goals for 1 year from now are even crazy to me, to be honest. And for 10 years from now, I just can't imagine it. You know, maybe I'll be a monk. Who knows?
Yeah, and you're very good at planning. This is another thing that I didn't mention before, and this is something that we preach in the group.
Yeah,
the importance of planning, and how important it is to plan your year ahead, not only your next day, but also working from a bird view.
Yeah,
and so that you can have a better perspective on what you're doing. So we got a question live from Sam. I think you met Sam, right?
Yeah, of course. Sam,
and so, hi Sam. So we took on VIP with Edit Media. At the moment, we're growing organically, 10K in 1 month, which is pretty good.
Nice.
Just by being active, commenting, creating good content. Yeah, I think he's a football player, by the way. I think I know the guy. So what would you suggest for the next level once this will reach the most we can get out of this strategy?
Commenting, creating good content. So you're doing a great job so far. I guess he's growing from organic engagement right now. So like what I personally do, like I said, leverage off influencers, right? So I would also recommend him to maybe get in stories, do like a S for S with other football players that he knows. And that can really like help him grow significantly. Another thing that I would also recommend is that you, I don't know if he has, like if you have a budget that you can dedicate towards his growth, but I would definitely reach out to influencers like theme page influencers, because they tend to cost a significantly lower amount of money than like personal brand influencers. And I would try to create some kind of ad that best justifies what he does, maybe him playing football or doing some crazy skills or shots, and then sending that traffic from the big theme page to his personal page. And that's what's been able to help me grow clients, like hundreds of thousands of followers in like a month.
Yeah.
So I think that will be a great strategy to try.
Yeah.
And you can send me a message if you have any further questions for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I think this guy got retired by football, so he's not playing anymore.
Okay.
But he's like, this guy was very popular because he was extremely talented. And the second one, he was extremely cocky when he was like playing. So it's kind of, I think it's kind of a good person to create memes about. Also because he's done some interesting things. Yeah. And yeah, so that could be a good way to get more attention, to get more exposure. So the next question is from Domenico, and I think it's one of the last ones. How many hours did you spend on Instagram on a daily basis when you started out before you got your first sales, like your consistent and relevant first sales?
So for some reason, like within the first 2 weeks, I actually got my. Is this talking about on the Instagram platform?
Yes, Instagram platforms, but also I think content and like education in general about Instagram.
Or just selling in general, basically.
No. It means, I guess, it means how time you spent in learning how to work on Instagram, basically.
Oh, how much time I spent?
Yes. Yeah. How many hours?
How many hours? Wow.
Per day.
A day. So I basically replaced what I was learning in university with like Instagram was basically like what I was studying. And every time I made money, I would go and I would go and pay my like friends to go and create my to go and create my coursework and scan my stuff into lectures. So I had a significantly higher amount of time than most people would to invest into Instagram, which I guess is a lucky thing on my behalf. But I was spending like several hours per day, like 5 to 8 hours per day, like studying Instagram. It was basically school for me. I don't really recommend that. I think you can learn like the same amount in so much less, but I was just having so much fun learning about it. So I guess that answers the question.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so next question is always from Domenico, and he asks, what have, let me rephrase this. What you think has helped you the most to achieve your success? Networking, technical skills, willpower. Which one is been the most impactful for your success so far?
I think it's been willpower has been, willpower has got to be the biggest thing, because without willpower, then you just won't do anything. You won't do anything. You'll just wait and hope something happens. However, don't get the wrong end of the stick. I think if you have too much willpower, that can be toxic. Well, I don't want to say it like that. I think it can be like negative, because this is one thing that I really like to always mention to people. Attract, don't chase. And I hope that makes sense to some of you guys. But
when it comes to sales, that's a big one.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're constantly chasing after something and you're like, oh, like there's so much need and there's so much, then for some reason, just the way things work, it will push away from you. And yes, you'll get small, but like you get results, but nowhere near as much as if you just let things flow and you just let things attract to you. That is the way that I personally feel like we should go down. It's hard to explain, but I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense, man. All right. So I think we have the last question, and also we are stretching our time frame a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, hope you don't mind.
Yeah, it's fine. No worries.
And okay, so next question is: do you think it's possible to grow on IG without automation and without reposting viral content?
Oh, definitely. And that's the problem, because all these gurus out there on Instagram, they are telling you how to grow your page. And like, I've seen some people like basically say that you need to repost pictures for your personal brand or for your company page. And I think that is like, it goes completely against the point of having a brand, you know? So by all means, post your own content, but please try your best to make it sure it's high quality content. So I guess that's the first thing that I want to mention. Another thing I want to mention is if you're going down the route of creating your own content and reposting your own content, don't use things like power likes, because they won't benefit you, to be honest. They only work for like reposting. And then for automation, what did he say about automation?
She asks if it's possible to grow even without automation, so without follow and follow, without interacting.
I guess that ties in with your budget as well. If you want to invest money into Instagram, like most of my clients, they have like thousands of dollars per month that they want to invest into Instagram. And with that, I can leverage off influencer marketing, and that really helps a lot. But if you don't have that kind of money to invest, then I think automation is probably the best route to go down.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So we ran out of time, I guess, and we ran out of time, I guess, and it's been a pleasure to have you here, man. I'm very happy to for this. I'm glad for being able to interview you, and I think we got a lot of value out of this interview.
I hope so.
And yeah, I mean, you're as you know, I mean, I think I already told you, but your story is very inspiring to me. It's very motivational, and just like considering that you're a 20-year-old dude, man, it's just insane how wise you are, and that's like mind blowing for me, especially coming from Italy, where like you're young at 40, and like, you know, you're 20, and that's very mind blowing. So I hope this inspires somebody who's watching this video. And guys, let us know your ideas. Let us know what you got out of this interview, and feel free to reach out to Leo. You find him tagged at the beginning of this post, like in the caption. So you can go ahead and check out his posts. He kind of documented everything step by step, every single point we mentioned during this conversation. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
I really appreciate it.
Okay.
And guys, talk to you soon. See you soon. And I think tomorrow there's gonna be another interview. Enrico's gonna interview the man Raffaele Gaito, who is one of the best growth hacker in Italy, and I think that one is gonna be pretty interesting. So guys, don't miss it out, and see you soon.
Take care, guys.
Peace out.